President Obama's speech last night was received very well by liberals, by Democrats. I don't think you'd be very surprised to find out he knows what he's doing. But also, conservative Republicans had a surprising amount of good things to say about his speech. We're going to start off with Rich Lowry of, I believe, the National Review, saying American exceptionalism and greatness, shining city on hill, founding documents, etc. They're trying to take all our stuff. Some of the core components of Obama's speech, thematically, were the sorts of things that you'd expect to hear from Republicans. And in fact, I saw a lot of analyses of the speeches last night, not just Obama's, but Biden's as well, a bit Michael Bloomberg, who's a sort of edge case, but that this really was, when you include Michelle Obama as well, this was a Democratic convention where family values, how you keep the country safe, what our values are supposed to be as a nation, how we conduct ourselves abroad, how we become the person, the country that the rest of the world looks to. You didn't hear as much of that at the RNC, but you heard a lot of it at the DNC this time around. So that's the first comment.
I'm now a little worried that this speech was not effective enough. Because if the conservatives liked it, that means it didn't hit them nearly hard enough. And I had that little bit of vibe last night. I liked the speech overall. It's nearly impossible not to like a Barack Obama speech, as is shown by even the conservatives liking it. He's such a good orator. And some of the best speeches of my lifetime have been Barack Obama's. The race speech when he was running, the original Audacity of Hope speech in 2004, those were magnificent. His first convention acceptance speech.
His election night speech in 2008. I think it was election night when he told the story of the woman.
Yes,
that was
speech.
amazing.
So maybe the bar is too high, but I thought Obama's speech was really, really good. But I can't remember what was in it. I don't remember. Like it has no lasting effect on me. What was in it. And so that's why maybe the conservatives are like, I kind of liked it, and it didn't really hurt us. I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair,
maybe
most
I'm being
of these...
unkind. I don't know.
I don't think you're being unkind, but I think you're missing the point of what these things are, or you're giving too much of a point to what these things are. It's a great speech. It introduced Hillary Clinton. It showed their working relationship. It showed how Donald Trump should not be elected in a pointed, specific way. And then it's over with. It's not a policy speech about race. It will never be that. It was sweeping oratory in front of a campaign, in front of a convention where all of your favorite people are. So it can only win when it's Barack Obama doing that. Any president giving a speech to his party's convention or her party's convention. But the point is that it, to say the conservatives like that, people are looking at these speeches somewhat objectively too. When people get into them and talk about the policy, they're doing this and they're doing that, or they didn't do this, that's hypocritical, that's not right. Yeah. That's fine. But if for Republicans to say, hey, he gave a good speech. Yeah. That's fine. That doesn't mean it was a bad speech for the cause or anything.
No. I'm not saying that by definition that means it's a bad speech. I thought Mike Pence had a pretty solid speech at the RNC, and I can't stand the dude.
Right. No, exactly. And
right.
But Chelsea Clinton's speech sucks.
We already know that. Yeah. And also, a lot of these, especially the ones I'm about to get to, they're conservative Republicans, but not necessarily Trump backers, which means that they may not be as concerned about how hard Trump is hit. So maybe that's not triggering them. But Erick Erickson sent a couple of tweets. He says, text just now from a senior House Republican who gave me permission to tweet this, quote, we were supposed to make that sort of speech. And again, a lot of House Republicans don't like Trump either. But Erick Erickson also said, I disagree with the president on so much policy and his agenda, but appreciate the hope and optimism in this speech, which maybe goes to what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I think the hope and optimism was important, and it was a good way for speakers at the DNC to set themselves apart from those who spoke at the RNC. The RNC was about nothing more than doom and gloom. It was fear-mongering every single night. And Donald Trump's speech was horrible. I remember when we were covering it live and, Cenk specifically mentioned that he thought that it was a horrible speech because it's going to bring people down. And that's exactly what it did. It was an hour and 15 minutes of this authoritarian language about how he's the cop and we're all dying and we're all killing each other. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Republicans are smart enough to realize that that's not going to go over well with the electorate, which is already feeling pretty crappy right now and wants a little bit of hope and optimism from the person that they're planning on voting for.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be ironic here. So part of it is, as I'm reflecting back on the speech, and by the way, I'm not freaked out that conservatives like it. God bless. And John made the most important point. These are a lot of anti-Trump conservatives who are like, why do we prick this guy who can't give a speech and is nothing but hate and pessimism when we should have had a more optimistic Reagan-like speecher. I get it. But on Obama's speech, it was a bit of a victory lap, which is good, and he's allowed that. But then that's why I don't remember any takeaways from it as to why we should vote for Hillary Clinton and not Donald Trump. One of the things is, she was there with me and told me to kill bin Laden too. Yeah, I probably would have raised my hand and been like, go ahead and kill bin Laden.
Yeah.
Right? In a sense, though, I wish he'd taken a bigger victory lap. Yeah. Because give me some reason why I got to get out there and vote, right? And so one reason could have been like, hey, you know what, let's be fair. Like the trick we did at the RNC with Jimmy Dore when he was interviewing the delegates. If Donald Trump brings unemployment down to 5% and cuts the deficit by more than half, we're going to have to give him credit. I wish there was a president that did that.
Yeah.
Oh, right, we did, right?
Yeah.
Like, to remind the country, we've done a pretty damn good job. All these guys that are telling you, doom and gloom, they're wrong. They're wrong. They've always been wrong. But look, you're never going to make me happy enough because I want super aggressive. And he's got a bully pulpit, and I wish that he would make his case and the progressive case much stronger, but I've been saying that for 8 years.
I think that the anti-Trump Republicans that are talking about last night so favorably also feel, but maybe can't admit, that they were really effective in attacking Trump as well. I wanted them to attack Trump more aggressively, but think about it. When Trump attacks, he attacks based on childish, juvenile things that don't matter. Except when it comes to money in politics. When he talks about that, I feel like I cringe because I'm like, that is a justified attack, and I hate that he has that kind of ammo against her. However, when it comes to the DNC and all the speakers last night that did attack Trump, they had good reasons to attack him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that makes Republicans scared. He is a target-rich environment.
Here's John Podhoretz, former speechwriter, and I believe it is actually the speechwriter of Reagan, saying, take about 5 paragraphs out of that Obama speech, and it could have been a Reagan speech. Trust me, I know. And he's not talking about policy there. He's talking about reminding us of what we're supposed to aspire to be. Because an inspiring speech isn't just supposed to get you to do something. It's supposed to get you to believe something and to want something. And Trump is trying to get you to think about America in terms of what's mine and who is trying to take it from me and who's coming over the border and who's coming for my family. But Obama reminds us that we're supposed to be in this together. And both of those are images that come to your mind when you think back over American history. And sometimes one wins out in the popular conscience, and another time the other one wins out. But if he can get us to think about this as a country that is on the precipice of something great, but that we need to work together, then I don't think Trump's message will be as effective.
We talk a lot about how the country as a whole has really moved to the right. Do you think that the Republicans' reaction to last night is a symptom of that? That these speeches actually appeal to the right a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Well,
but they're not on policy grounds.
They're not.
It's about...
They're not. But there's that, American exceptionalism, those ideas that Republicans historically have used in order to gain some support.
But American exceptionalism can be based on different things, too. It can be based on we're the strongest, we're the biggest, or it could be that we're an example that everyone else looks to. And that's how Obama really painted it, I think.
So, look, that's a really great question. In this case, I don't think it was, because if he had said things that were right-wing, my antenna would have gone up and I would have been super annoyed. And he didn't. He just really couched it in terms of optimism, et cetera. That's what they're talking about when they say Reagan. Because Reagan, you could disagree with him on policy, but would give really optimistic, bright future kind of speeches.
And in history, it's the party that's out of power generally that paints the dark picture, right? That paints the optimistic picture of a dark reality, of a dark thing that we have to change and come in and change it. It's reversed this time. You have the challenger saying things are dark, and you have the incumbent party saying, no, things are great, and here's hope and optimism and morning in America, and yes, yes, yes. And that's a political tactic that they've co-opted, and it's worked. And with the exception of Jimmy Carter, who was in office and was sort of, doom and gloom, and Ronald Reagan coming out and doing that, that's not always how it's worked in American politics. This time they're trying to do that. And I think it worked. I mean, I also, again, I'm a broken record on this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't like it doesn't matter. These speeches, they don't matter. Her speech tonight, she'll give a good speech because she's in a favorable crowd. There'll be things to nitpick about it. There'll be things to say, but favorable crowd, big night. She's going to give a speech. She's not. The bar is low in some senses because she's not one of the great speech makers in America. But by the same token, she'll give that speech, then the campaign begins. And then you're going to have 4 people out campaigning who are not dazzling, but she leaves here with the President of the United States. And the President of the United States is going to be one of the top 2 surrogates for her, the other being Donald Trump in this race. And I think that's a really important thing to remember.